Sjomajlin! Hi! I just recorded the entire episode and I realized, something's off. And I'm sure that I did press the record button, but it wasn't recorded. So here we go again. Hi! This is Friday the 6th of November and I'm Maja. And you can find me as Sjomajlin on Instagram and Ravelry and on YouTube, where I guess you're at right now. So you already found me. And I'll try not to talk that fast. In the first version of this, I had my beautiful orchid right here and I knocked it over almost at once. So I decided to move it out of shot and now it just looks empty. So let me just show you that it's getting bigger. I don't know if you can see, but there are buds growing. So I didn't want to knock it to the floor, so I put it down instead. So now it just looks very empty here, but you'll just have to live with that. So, excuse me, I've already been talking about all these stuff. But I'll do it again, because you haven't heard it. So, how are you? I hope everything is good with you. I've had a long week. Since we spoke last, on Saturday, I had a very upsetting experience. And in the first take I said I will talk about that towards the end, because you might not all be interested in hearing about that. So I'll do that. I'll do the same thing this time around when you guys are with me. Or I guess it would be more fair for me to say this time around when I've actually invited you. Okay. Oh, so silly. Calm down. Calm down. I've been working. This year I've been working 75%, so I haven't been working full time. This week I've been working more than 75%. I haven't been working more than full time though, so I haven't been working all that much, but I've been working more than I'm used to. And it's been quite long days, so I'm very tired. We had, on Wednesday, we had a full day of like staff meeting, education day thing. And then I went straight from there to midnight, so that was a very long day, which I'm not really used to. Excuse me. This whole recording thing just got me thrown. I just need some lip balm. Excuse me, please. I guess I should stop and start over again with me being more calm, but what you see is what you get. Does not make any sense in this context. On Thursday, well yesterday, me and Patrick went to a lecture or a seminar in the evening. I had seen this a few weeks ago, that it was going to happen or that the tickets were released or something, and I thought that's interesting, I need to look that up. And you know, one thing didn't lead to another and I never did. And so I thought, you know, oh, I missed my chance. And so on Monday, because the organization that I work for was part in the, what do you say, like production behind this lecture or seminar. So I guess that we had gotten some free tickets. So one of my colleagues did post a picture to our, we have a closed Facebook group. She posted a picture of 2 tickets saying, I have these and is someone interested? And I said, yes, I'm very interested. So I got 2 tickets for free. And they weren't, well, 1 ticket, you could have gotten a sweater's worth of yarn for that cost. So the seminar was this man, Stefan Einhorn. He's a doctor, medical doctor, a surgeon. I believe he doesn't work in, well, practicing medicine anymore, but he's teaching at med school. He's a professor. And he has written quite a few books on, well, I wouldn't say that there's, self-help or pop psychology, but they are on personal development, I guess. So the lecture yesterday was about, and I tried looking this word up, and well, Google Translate thought that it would be cleverness, but I would say that it's closer to wisdom, maybe. But it was about, how to solve, how do we cope with problems in our lives, and what can you do to develop your ability to make decisions and stuff like that. And he was quite funny, and it was a very interesting lecture, and I was very, very happy to had been able to attend it, to having been able. Words. I've been having some sort of allergic reaction the last few weeks in my eyes, so they are kind of itching, so I'll try not to itch them, but sorry. And also someone commented, I believe it was on the last podcast, saying that they were happy to see or to notice that my coughing was almost gone, at least. And it's much better. I'm still coughing a little bit, and I feel a cough coming on right now, so that's why I'm saying it. But I'm getting much better, so I'm very happy with that. Yes. What else did I say last time I said this? I talked a little bit about, I guess you all know that there is a situation in Europe right now where people are fleeing for their lives. And the overall atmosphere, I would say, isn't very welcoming. And a few of these people who are fleeing are coming to Sweden to, what do you say, apply for asylum? Do you say that? And for some moronic reason. Okay, so in the process of applying for asylum, if that is how you say it, they need to be sheltered somewhere. So in different areas, some old schools that weren't being used at the moment, and different sort of more or less official buildings has been prepared to house these people. And for some reason, many of these houses has been set on fire. Because if we don't want them to have it, we shouldn't have it either. And there is so much, racism manifesting. And yesterday there was a flyer in the post with the Sweden Democrats, who are currently the third largest party in government. They had sent out an... This makes me so angry. They had sent out a flyer saying that we need to, pretty much rally to have a vote on whether or not to allow more people who are fleeing for their lives to be allowed to come to our country. And I really, really, really do hope that the counter reaction to this will be that much greater and warmer and overwhelming and filled with love. Because that is what we need. We do not need more coldness and hostility and evil. Yeah. I don't really know what to say. It's just awful. I did see a sort of a fun comic strip saying, it was a woman saying, you know, oh, I really don't like all these refugees coming. And someone saying, oh, what happened? Were you robbed? Were you raped? What happened to you? And she was like, no, it's not that. It's just that I realized that so many of my, what do you say? Like the people from my country are, well, assholes. There is something in that, actually, so. On a happier note, I've got some knitting to show you and to share that I've already shown once, but I'll do it again because you haven't seen it. I don't really have any real FOs this week, so I will start to show you the work in progress that you've seen already. So Björn and or Patrick, if you're watching, please skip ahead a while, because I will be showing this. That is the second one that one of these guys will be getting for Christmas, and the other one will be getting the other, yeah. So I'm knitting a companion cube. I did show you the finished one last week. So this is from a video game, Portal. And this is going to be, let's call it the bottom flap of the cube, and now I'm knitting up 4 sides in the round, and then I will knit a top, the 6th flap, and then seam it together. And there are a lot of small bobbins with this pink yarn hanging, and there are strands of yarn, and it's madness going on. I had only pretty much just started this last week. You can see here on the chart that in this direction, when you come to where the pink ones, the pink goes out here, it's halfway up the chart. So that's the point where I'm at on these 4 sides right now. So I've done one completely and these halfway up, so I'm halfway through knitting this. And there's not really much more to say right now. I'll talk more about it next time, I guess. And if you're very interested, you can go back to look at last week and a few weeks before that, when I was knitting on the first one of these. And if you do search for Companion Cube on Ravelry, you will find a project page that links you to, I think it's a blog, well, another page anyway, which will give you some directions and this chart. Yes. And then you've seen this project before. I'm knitting a knee cozy, or 2 knee cozies even, for my brother. So I showed you this last week that I had finished before, and this is blocked out, and I had I had given him this to try. And it was good over the knee, but it needed some sort of, well, elastic to keep it snugger to above and below the kneecap. So I was working on the second one last week, and I finished knitting this just this morning. So I haven't woven in the ends, and this isn't blocked. You might be able to tell the difference. So they are knit mirrored color-wise, because I didn't have enough yarn. So I will block this out as well, and weave in the ends, obviously, and then I will have to figure out something how to do these elastics. I tried to show this before and it was kind of hard to show. But you can sort of see that this is sort of narrow. It's 5mm wide, these elastics. This will be under the knees. And I think that this, because the plan that I have currently is to try to make some sort of an I-cord and run this through and then attach it to the knee cozy. And I think that that will work. Above the knee, however, I'm going to use these, which are wider and has buttonholes. Can you see that? Fairly close together so that you can adjust the tension. And again, as I said, it's wider. I think this might be 12mm perhaps. So this will obviously be harder to fit through, what did I just call it? An I-cord. And to still have it run smoothly. So I haven't really decided on what I'm going to try, but I'll try to do something. So there will be some more knitting, I believe, to this as well, but the knee cozy, the second knee cozy itself is being finished, and then there will be some other finishing to that. So I'm working on that. It's out of Drops Fable yarn. I didn't say the thing that I showed you before, if someone is back, is knit out of Järbofuga, which is a Swedish brand yarn, which is 50% superwashable and 50% acrylic. And then I started a pair of socks this week. And I was just trying to think, what did I tell you about this already? But I haven't told you anything about these already, right? So I'll show you the pattern. This is a paid for pattern, so I won't show you more than the name of it and the picture right there. It's Treppenviertel, something like that. It's German. It says that the Treppenviertel Stairs district is a tourist attraction in Hamburg. You can go for walks on 58 footpaths and climb a total of 4,864 stairs. And it says a little bit more. So the pattern is inspired. As you can see, you are walking up and down the stairs around your foot. And let me show you the second picture, that with this sort of ribbing in different directions, it can sort of stand up on its own, which looks kind of funny. So Treppenviertel by Nicola Susan. It says on the pattern anyway. I don't remember what it says on Ravelry. It might be under a brand name. But if you search for Treppenviertel, I'm sure you'll find it. Yes, so I was planning on using this yarn, which I also did, which is Wool Blend by Stoff och Stil. You can sort of see that anyway. It's 70% wool and 30% polyamide. And in my head it was just the sock yarn, so I started. And then I realized that I had 2 skeins of 50 grams each, and one skein is about 150 meters. Which makes for a total of 300 meters for 100 grams, and usually sock yarns are 420 meters. So I realized that I might not have enough yarn. So you can tell from this picture that the top, the beginning of the cuff where it's just like normal ribbing is kind of tall. So I shortened it. So I'm not following the pattern exactly. But I don't really enjoy, I usually don't enjoy wearing very tall socks. And I have a few, so when I need something taller, I'll have something taller. But I did shorten the cuff. Yes. There was another thought in my head. So I finished the first sock. I've been posting a few pictures of this to Instagram. I did post a before picture on Wednesday when we had this staff day educational meeting thing. I was about there maybe, and then I knit pretty much down to the toe decreases that day. And I finished this up yesterday at the seminar, and I started the second one. So it doesn't really, I haven't blocked it or anything. It doesn't look awesome on the sock blocker, or it doesn't look bad, but it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that the change in the direction of the ribbing comes down to a point there, and it goes up to a point on that side. Excuse me. And then you can obviously tell that it's a heel flap and gusset construction, and that the ribbing continues down the foot. That would have been something, right? If I just fell off the chair. Let me be honest with you. I'd rather do that when actually recording and being able to share the funniness of that with you than to do that when I wasn't recording, because that would have just been silly. Okay, so I finished this yesterday. I haven't blocked it or anything. I'm knitting on DPNs. I'm using Knit Pro Carbons, this 2mm size needles. And I enjoy knitting with DPNs. I usually don't really have a problem with ladders or unevenness, but I did realize here, you can see on the purl rows, you can see where, and I'm trying to catch the light, well, you can see that there is something going on right there. So obviously I have more trouble keeping even tension between the different needles in purling. That's interesting. I think it will come out in blocking and it doesn't really bother me, but it was kind of interesting. This yarn, as I said, is 100% wool and, no, 70% wool and 30% polyamide. And it is, some wools feels almost cold to the touch, as in almost as if they're, you know, a bit damp. It's obviously going to be warm on my feet, but some wools just feel almost cold to the touch. And this does. And you can see, can you see that it has a bit of a halo? It shows up here pretty good in person anyway. So I don't think that this is the best pattern and yarn combination. I haven't worn this yet. I pulled it on just to try it, but I haven't worn them. But you can already kind of see here on the pearls that it is, the yarn is kind of fluffy and it's starting to look a little bit worn already. With the 30% polyamide content, I don't think that they will wear through, but I think that they will look worn pretty quickly in this, as I said, pattern yarn combination. I'm really liking, this yarn feels very rich and like luxurious almost. Oh, excuse me. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm really liking this pattern, but this wasn't the best yarn and pattern combination. But I'm finishing these socks and I'm gonna wear them a lot and I'm gonna enjoy them. But if I'm making them again, I'll consider using something that will deal with the pearls a bit better, I think. And was there something else that I was saying about this? Because now I'm really having trouble remember what did I tell you now and what did I tell you last time. And my eyes are just itching. And it feels like I have an eyelash in this eye as well, which isn't helping. The struggle, you guys. Yes, I also wanted to say that even though this is a paid for pattern, and I won't be giving too much away. You can, just by looking at it, you can make out the general idea in the pattern, and it gives very clear and easy directions, and you pretty quickly can see, you know, the logic in the pattern, so you do not, or I did not have to refer to the pattern almost at all after a few rounds when I, you know, got the rhythm of it, I guess. And then I needed to refer to it to see how it gave, how it suggested to make the toe decreases and things like that, but the pattern itself is not difficult to follow at all. So I do recommend that. It was a very fun knit. Yes, and then on knit night on Wednesday, we were going to talk about twine knitting. So I did cast on some twine knitting using this. It is the same cream colored Z-plied yarn from Ölands Ullcentrum. So it's 100% wool. The same yarn that I used in the last pair of twine mittens that I knit, together with a dark grey, do you say like a graphite grey? Maybe? Yes, but I'm going to knit these just the one, what do you say, single color. So I cast this on and knit like one round at home, and then I knit on knit night on these. And again, twine knitting is slower. It's completely another rhythm to get into. And I can tell that there really is a difference in me. Since knitting the last pair, I feel much more. Okay, so in knitting the first mitten in the first pair, I was a complete beginner. I had knitted like a swatch, pretty much. And then in knitting the second mitten, I could notice the difference in my speed and in how comfortable I felt knitting it. And that was a few weeks ago, so I was expecting to have, you know, slid back down the hill or the slope a little bit. But when I started this, I actually did feel as though I was pretty much still at the same level as I left off a few weeks ago. So that was very, very pleasant. As I said, I will be knitting these just in one color, but I will make some, and I don't really know what this is called in English, but you do use, excuse me, there is fluff. You use pearls, like pearl stitches, to make, you know, this. So a textured pattern rather than color work pattern. Yes, so they will not be worked on very vigorously for a while. I wanted, as I said, to cast them on for knit night, because we were gonna talk about twine knitting, so I wanted to have a twined knitting project. Other than that, my priority is, as I talked about last time, to finish the stuff that I'm making for Christmas gifts, and then I also want to finish the knee cozies for my brother, so because colder weather is coming. And then I'm doing some other things sort of in between to the other knits, even though, I mean, I wouldn't make them if I wasn't enjoying making them. But it's good to have something, you know, that is just for fun, or that is for me, or that isn't, you know, on any sort of deadline, or me feeling that, oh, I really should. To have something like this where it's just like, I can. Yeah, but the mittens won't really be in priority for a while, but you will see them more eventually. That's all the knitting I've got and it's still recording. That's amazing. And then I have something else, which was what I was moving aside in the beginning of this episode, which was crinkling, that I had just started to talk about in before. So I needed to move it aside. Well, let me cover up my address a little bit. I got this in the mail this week. And it's painful. Okay, so this is from Gothheart Creations, who is Ellie, and I guess Dave is also involved, of the F1 Die podcast, and if you haven't checked them out, please do. They are on YouTube, and they are hilarious and wonderful and very real, and I thoroughly enjoy watching their podcast. So I was just browsing through the Gothheart Creations, Gothheart Creations on Etsy, and I saw this skein of yarn and fell completely in love with it. So I had to order it, and I ordered some stitch markers, and that was it. And then, so my mom has been asking me for a while what I want for Christmas. And I said, well, maybe some, hand-dyed braid of fiber to spin. And, well, my mom isn't really used to or comfortable with ordering things online. So, and she obviously wanted it to be something that I would enjoy. So after a couple of different back and fro's between us, she said, well, order something online, give it to me, tell me how much money you want, and then forget about it, and then you'll get it for Christmas. So I said, well, when I had ordered this yarn, I said, well, it's not spinning fiber, but... So I sent mom a text message saying, I completely fell in love with this yarn, it's already ordered, if you want to give it to me for Christmas, you can. And she said, of course. And she actually said, because I met her the other day, or the day after I had sent that text message. You heard me, right? And she hadn't answered the text message, and she said, well, yes. I could tell from the way you wrote that that's how it's gonna be. I was like, well, you don't have to. And she was like, of course I have to. I could really tell that you fell in love with it. So yes. So I said, well, I'll try to not peek when it arrives. And she was like, you cannot peek. So I haven't. And I won't. But I've been cuddling this plastic bag. And it's painful. And I've decided that I won't even go back to the Etsy store to look at it, because it will be too painful. And I'll have to wait for, I think it's 7 more weeks. I will get this over to my parents as quickly as I can, so I don't have to see it, so I can forget about it until Christmas. Because it's hard. It hurts my soul. Yeah. I did also order 2 knitting books this week, but they didn't arrive yet, so I will talk about them when they get here. And that's all the knitting stuff that I have for you. Other than, I also want to mention that it's the last week, we're entering the last week of the Smile Cal. So please join if you haven't already. Thank you for the entries in the Ravelry thread. And I just realized I've been meaning to go onto the hashtag on Instagram, and I haven't in probably the last week. I'll do that after recording. So anyone who's entered there, thank you as well. I haven't seen it yet, if you entered since I checked it last. Yes, and even if you aren't joining, you can look at the hashtag SmileCow on Instagram, and you can look in the thread on Ravelry to maybe be inspired. So, well, thank you for joining, and we're entering the last week. So, yeah, heads up. That's all the knitting that I have. Let me tell you about my choir. And I've been trying to go through in my head what I want to share with you. And I've been really... Yesterday when I was going through this, because it's been very emotional for me this week. It's been very, very emotional. So yesterday when I started to think about what do I want to share, I felt as though no, I can't. I'll just be too emotional. But now I feel like I really want to, because I do think, and this might sound silly, but I think that it will help me to go through it as well. So if you aren't very interested, I'm fine with that. And if you are somewhat interested, but you think that I'm going on too long, please skip ahead. I don't mind. But I do actually kind of really think that it would help me to talk a little bit about this, because it's been very emotional for me, as I said. So, about 8 years ago, I started this choir. It's a church choir in the area where my parents still live and where I'm born and raised. So even though I moved away from there, since it's not far at all, but it's not really where when I say that I sing in that choir, in that area, some people are like, well, you don't live there. And I'm like, no, but I've got a car. So it is a church choir, as I said. It's kind of a small choir. And obviously we've changed our lineup a couple of times over the last about 8 years. Some of the times 1 or 2 guys have been in the choir, but mostly we've been ladies. And somewhere between, I would say, 8 and 15 of us. So it's kind of a small choir. And I've really, really loved singing it. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that I posted a picture on Saturday, that I had quit the choir. So, well, I also did write that that's comparable to quit knitting for me, which isn't really true, because I could obviously start another choir or something could happen, but in my life, other than the obvious, food, water, shelter, those needs, other than that, knitting and singing, and especially singing in a choir, are probably the 2 most important things. So, about a year ago, our choir leader, conductor, he wasn't really conducting us though, but the leader told us that he would quit. That was very, very, very sad. But he had been in that church, like the church musician, for almost 20 years. So it was completely understandable. I don't blame him at all, even though it sucked. So he was going to start in another church, and as I said, I don't blame him at all. I completely understand that he wanted change of scenery and change of challenges, and absolutely, even though it sucked. He is a very kind and sweet and genuine person, and he also has such amazing music in him that is just, seeping out. And it's been, I would say, well, it's a church choir, and I'm a Christian, so it is, that can be a very spiritual experience, of course. But just as a musician, seeing him as a musician, almost I would say every choir practice has been pretty much a spiritual experience for me. So it's been very valuable. And I'm getting emotional. Okay, so he was gonna quit. I don't blame him at all. So this spring, last spring, a substitute came in, and for different reasons that wasn't awesome, but it was, you know, something at least. And even though we really missed our Samuel, I still enjoyed singing with the other ladies in the choir. And now after the summer, we had a new lady hired. So she wasn't a substitute, but she actually was hired. And I tried to, you know, talk seriously to myself in a very, you know, stern, grown-up voice, saying that it wouldn't be fair to anyone to compare her to Samuel, and that to come after Samuel, even though there had been a substitute in between, can't be easy. So I was really going to give her a fair and honest chance to do her thing, and you know. And well, it's been weird. Is probably the best word to describe it. There's been like a weird atmosphere. Okay, so Swedish isn't her first language, which really doesn't matter, really. But sometimes she's been struggling to find the words, which is fine. But sometimes she's been saying things that were like, what? So I've been thinking, no, but it must be the wrong, she can't really mean that, it must be just that she didn't find the right word. I don't really have a good example right now, but weird things. But then she's been saying like mean things, and condescending things, and insulting things to different people in the choir, which has just been weird. And a couple of us have been, you know, it's been a very what's the word? I really don't know the word. The opposite of calm atmosphere in the choir. And so we started talking a little bit, a few of us saying that, well, and then one of the other ladies said that, well, I'm giving this until Christmas or New Year's. And I guess I felt something like that too, because it wasn't fun going to the choir. It didn't feel good, which really stinks. But again, I told myself, no, but I have to give her an honest chance. But on the other hand, she was saying these kind of mean things and snapping at people. So on Saturday, past Saturday, we had the, well, All Saints holiday. So it's not Halloween where you dress up and scare each other or watch scary movies, but the kind where you visit your graves and light candles and remember our loved ones who've gone before us. So our choir has a tradition of being a very big part of a remembrance service held in a burial chapel at a graveyard. So it's not a funeral, but it's there, and there are like, you know, hundreds of lit candles, and it's beautiful. And we sing all these songs that are kind of sad, but also hopeful in that, you know, they've gone before us, we'll meet again. And we need to keep faith, pretty much. So it's, I want to use the word magical, and I don't mean it in like, you know, the spiritual way with being, pretty much being Halloween and witches and that, but a very special atmosphere and setting to this. So we were there practicing, and there were a few things, and I guess the choir leader, was a bit stressed out because it was the first time she would be there or to do this, and yeah, but the atmosphere was really, really weird, and someone asked a question and she was like, well, it's too late to practice that now, and it was just weird, completely weird. And then she asked, so we've had a tradition that the choir walks like in procession down the aisle towards the end with lit candles, and then the people walk out after us, and we stand by the doors with our candles, and they can light their candles at ours, and then we stand just outside the chapel and sing a last hymn together, which is very beautiful. And so she asked, because we were practicing before the service was going to start, and so that was the last thing that we were going to practice before we were going to have a little break, and then the service would start. So she said, how have you done this before? And so I said, this is how we've done it before, and I explained it. And she snapped and just said, well, it's completely irrelevant what you've done before. And I was like, well, you asked? So I really didn't want to pick a fight or react anyway, so I did not raise my voice or anything. I just said, I was a bit stern, sure, but I did not raise my voice. But I said, well, you did ask how we've done it before, and that is how we've done it before. And so she was like, well, it doesn't matter, no, we're gonna do it. So I was like, fine, whatever, you know, let's just do this. Okay, so we were gonna practice, and we were standing on, you know, 2 rows. We were about 10 of us. And so I was gonna walk first and light my candle, and then the others on my row would line up behind me, and we would light our candles, and then we would wait for the other row to... So I was like, do we line up here? I asked her, and she was like, line up. Line up. Well, we are adults, we don't really have to line up. And I was like, okay, I'm not saying anything. Really? Do you have to tell me that we are adults? And you know, for a choir, and especially if you're walking in more or less procession, is that the word? I think it is. And for that to look less than chaotic, it might be a good thing if you actually do line up. But okay. And so she said, and then you walk all the way down to the doors. So I was like, okay, sure. Okay, so let's practice this. Yes, sure. So we went back to our seats, and then we were gonna practice. And I guess for some reason she didn't trust me. So she walked ahead of me, even though she wasn't supposed... I don't know. And she stopped, like right in front of me. So I said, well, weren't we supposed to walk all the way down? And she snapped again. And she pretty much screamed or yelled at me, what's the matter with you? Calm down. And she turned around. What's wrong with you? And I was like, well, at that point I was pretty much in shock, I guess. I was like, well, I thought you said we were going to walk all the way down to the doors. Calm down! What's the matter with you? And I was like... And I didn't say anything because I did not want to make a scene. I did not want to pick a fight. And I was in shock. And so we practiced that thing, and then we were going to have this break, and I, again, did not want to make a scene, but I had it at that point, so I snuck off to go to the bathroom, grabbed my coat and went home. Because I just completely had it. That was not the first time that she has definitely crossed the line, in my opinion. And again, she's been saying mean things and just snapping and acting weird, and singing in a choir has not been fun lately. So I just felt as though now, you know, I need to take my responsibility in this and not put myself in this situation. So I just left. And I was so angry and upset. and I was just shaking, and afterwards a couple of the ladies in the choir got in touch with me saying, well, pretty much, we missed you, but I understand. And what's kind of good in this is that the priest was there, and he's kind of new. He's been working there for about a year, so I don't know him all that well. But then another lady who is it deacon? I feel as though that might be more in school, in academics. But in church she works more of, she's not a priest, but more with, you know, social, she might be visiting the elders, she might be, well, not a psychologist or counselor like that, but sort of the church counselor, I guess. So she's been in the choir before. She's not at this point, but she was joining us for this service, so she was also there. And I know her a bit more, so she reached out to me afterwards. She wrote me a long message saying, you know, I saw and I heard and I reacted. I guess both she and the priest, who, as I said, was also there, I guess they were also a little bit in shock, actually. So I do not in any way blame them for not reacting then and there. But she, as I said, wrote me a long message saying, you know, we're gonna deal with this, pretty much. And she said, this is totally not acceptable in any way, and I understand you reacted, and she said, please get in touch if you feel as though you want to talk anymore, so, or talk about it. And I felt as though, even she didn't say it in specific words, but I felt as though she wanted to also make the point that this is not the church's values, or what the church stands for. And I never thought that either. I did not feel as though the church was behaving like this. It was her, the choir leader, as a person. And I was also, straight from the beginning, I didn't take it personally, because with all the things that I've seen from her, it's not about any of us in the choir. It's about something else. And also one of the ladies in the choir had spoken to the priest, and he had asked her to tell me that he also had seen and heard, and it was not okay. So they are going to deal with it. I don't know how and when and what will happen, but I know that at least 3 other ladies, or 3 with me, did not go to the choir practice this week. And something, I hope, is happening. So as I said, it's been very emotional week for me, and as you might know by now if you watched a couple of episodes, things like this really sticks with me. I'll think them over and over and over and over again, to the point where that is more hurtful, I guess. But that is also in a way, that is also a way for me to deal with it. I can't just let things like this go. I need to go through it thoroughly. So that is also why I wanted to share with you, because as I said, I've been thinking about this week. How much do I want to share? And I've come to the conclusion that I think that it would help me to be able to share this with you. So if you did stick through, thank you. And if you did just skip ahead, that's completely okay as well. So I'm hoping that, I mean, I don't wish for her to lose her job, but I don't think that that sort of behavior is acceptable. And I would love to be able to sing with that choir again, but I'm not going to sing with them I'm not gonna sing with her. So as long as she is there, I'm not. So in a way, I'm hoping that she'll not be working there anymore. So I've been though, because I'm a member of another church where I'm, well, pretty much born and raised. And for different reasons, I've never been singing in that choir. So I joined their choir. So I've been practicing with them, and I've already been given a solo. So I'm coping, you know, I'm still singing in a choir, but it's different, and it's... I mean, we had something, or we have, I hope, something special in that small choir with us ladies. Yeah, so I'm hoping to be able to get back there soon. But we'll have to see, or I'll have to see what's happening. So that's been a kind of a big drama, and so that, along with the health care doctors and charts debacle or drama, I've been thinking, you know, what's up? I'm usually not in these kinds of dramas. Is it me? But then, so I've been thinking that, honestly, but then I'm thinking, well, I think it's reasonable to expect your medical chart to be true, to get to see a doctor who actually listens when you talk. I do not think it's unreasonable to be able to answer questions that your choir leader asks without being yelled at. And I believe that it's not unreasonable to be able to ask questions to your choir leader without being yelled at. I don't think that I'm being unreasonable. But it's so much drama right now, and it takes so much energy from me. And as I said, I think I said it this time around. I've said it a million times before, and I'll probably say it a million times again. Me and November aren't the best of friends. So it's been a bit rough. I also want to mention, because I mentioned it in the first take, that I did the reporter that I met with for our local news, excuse me, site to talk about my recent experiences with the healthcare system. She wanted me to email her some additional things, and so I did. And she got back to me this week, confirming that she had gotten these things. And she said that, or she kind of apologized for, they are having a lot of things to do. So this will be a little while, and I'm completely fine with that. There are more pressing matters right now with, well, the racism raging, that there are more, like, what's the word? Emergent things to write about. So I'm completely fine with my story, waiting for a little while. But I will keep you updated on that as well, because I know that some of you want to read it when it gets published. So I'll keep you updated on that as well. Oh, the drama. So much drama. Could you hear that? That was my stomach rumbling. I'm hungry. And I just realized, looking over the table, did I talk about these? I did. I remember that I did. I mentioned that I had shortened the cuff, right? That the yarn was... I had about 300 meter yarns instead of like 420. So I shortened the cuff. I didn't bring it, but I wound up the yarn when I was done, and it was less than this. So, not a lot. I could have made the cuff longer. It wasn't close. It wasn't a close call by any means. But I probably wouldn't have been able to make the cuff as long as the pattern called for. I remember having said that, but I think it was in the first attempt at recording. So just to mention that, if you're still around. But really though, having this... Is that audible? I need to make some lunch. Having this opportunity to vent is actually really valuable to me right now. So if you are sticking with me, thank you very, 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 very much. And once again, if you just skipped ahead to this point, that's completely fine as well. Absolutely. So I want to thank you all very much for the feedback. Thank you all for the thumbs up on last week's episode and my little rant about the thumbs down. And once again, of course, I mean, it's there. You can press the thumbs down if you want to. I just don't understand why anyone would do that, because if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. If there is some sort of a poll, you know, thumbs up if you want me to do this, or a thumbs down if you'd rather not see that. Anyway, but thank you very much for all the feedback. And for those of you who've been in touch with me, and I have a feeling as though there might be a message on Ravelry I haven't gotten back to, so I'll check on that as well. Because I want to get in touch, I want to get back to you if you've been in touch with me. Someone also commented on the last video, or the last episode on the shawl that I had made, the Mattered Squares shawl. Asking if I would make a pattern. I'm not going to make a pattern, but I am thinking that I'll sketch it down somehow and put that on Ravelry. I haven't done it yet because I'm trying to work it out in my head what it is that I want to tell in that, but I will do that and I will tell you about it so that you who asked for it can find it. I'm sorry, I really don't remember your name, but yeah. And there might be someone else too, so yeah, I don't know. That's it. I'll make some food and get this uploaded to you guys. As I've said before, it just struck me that I didn't say it today. I'm closing the Cal next Saturday morning, my time, because the official closing date is Friday the 13th. So with time differences and things, I'm gonna close it Saturday. Yes, Saturday morning. I don't know if I'll be able, I don't know what's on my schedule next week. My aim is to record Saturday, so I'll be a bit later than usual in uploading, but then I can do the drawing or right away, or I might not be able to do that, and in that case I will record an episode earlier and then maybe just do a short clip of the drawing, or I'll have to save that for the next week. But you'll notice next week, obviously, which it is. But the official closing date is Friday the 13th, which means I will do it Saturday morning, my time. European Central, whatever it's called, I don't know. So, perhaps a little later uploaded episode next week, perhaps not, we'll see. Until then, I do wish that you will be kind to yourself and kind to the people around you, and that you will do whatever you need to cope with November. And that you will make something and drink a lot of tea and, I don't even know, eat a lot of ice cream or whatever. Do take care, and I'll talk to you next time.